let's not ramble. And when I say let's, it's me. You guys obviously don't ramble in these videos. It's me. So let's not ramble today, McKay, and let's just jump into the video because I got a lot of books to talk about today. So I wanted to talk about books that I love that I don't feel like I talk about a lot on my channel. I either don't get the opportunity because they don't like fit so easily into like certain trope recommendations, or just tropes that I don't really do a lot of rec videos for because I just don't read a lot of them. I don't have a lot of other recs to do with them. I don't like a lot of the other things. Like that's kind of like the anomaly of the trope that I like. I don't get to feature them in like vlog video. Like I just don't really get to feature these books a lot, but they're books that I love and that I want you guys to read and love as well. So that's what I'm going to do today. And I did ask Cheyenne from That Tall Book Girl if she wanted to collaborate with me today. I love Cheyenne, so make sure that if you have not already, that you check out her channel, subscribe, comment, like, show her all the love over there. I will have her video and her channel linked down below. And we're going to give you some books that we love that we just don't really get the opportunity to talk about on our channels a lot. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in. And I want to start with a book that kind of inspired me for this video, because when I got this special edition in, I was like, it's been so long since I've talked about this book. And that's also because I read it like 3 years ago, but I love this one from Fiona Cole. And I feel like so many of her books have been getting more hype recently, but this was the first one that I read from her and what made me fall in love with her. And that is Shame by Fiona Cole. So this is the Hello Lovely box special edition. I don't have the original cover, but I mean, whatever. It's still called Shame by Fiona Cole. And this one follows Anna and Kevin. So it takes place, it's a dual perspective, but also there's a time jump in it. So at the beginning, you're back with Anna and Kevin when they are in high school. I believe they're 17 or 18, and they are neighbors. They live across from each other, and they grow up and they're like friends, they're childhood friends. And they both start realizing that they have some particular interests, and they don't really know how to explore those or how to like verbalize them until they kind of realize that the other is also kind of interested in the same thing. And they trust each other enough that they're like, hey, why don't we kind of start experimenting with each other and give us like a safe space for us to kind of explore together. And that's what they start doing. And then something happens. There's a bit of like a betrayal kind of, and then we jump ahead. Is it like 7 years or something? It's pretty far. They're like past college and into like their early or like mid 20s or something, and they get reunited. Is it on a family vacation or something? I'm remembering like there's like a beach house that they go to at some point. I'm thinking maybe that it's like a family vacation that they somehow both end up on, and it's like a second chance, and then they get a chance to get reconnected, but also kind of heal those old wounds that they each both have. And I will say that this book was banned at some point because of just it being taboo. Honestly, this is not like the wildest thing that I've read, to be honest. So I honestly don't really know why it was banned, but whatever. If it's not going to be for you, it's not going to be for you. There is BDSM in this. So like, if that's not your thing, then like just skip over it. But I personally really, really loved this book between the two of them. This was one where actually I really liked a big time jump in it because I think we needed that time with the characters to mature to kind of truly figure out their own identities, because we saw them trying to figure that out in the beginning of it, but then we needed them to fully like see their identities and like learn who they really are and what they want, and then be reconnected down the line in the future after they both had some time to grow. And I just absolutely love this one. I think it's so good. I don't know if this is one of like where this falls in Fiona Cole's backlist, but I'm pretty sure it's fairly early on, and I think it's just a knockout. Next up, this one is from an author that I talk about a lot because she's like one of my favorites. However, I don't really ever talk about this book specifically because, again, it doesn't really fit in any trope recommendation videos, and all of her other books, like, I talk about a lot more because they're a lot more taboo, where that's like kind of what I feel like y'all have come to me for. But I love Forget Me Not by QB Tyler. So this one is a marriage and trouble amnesia romance, which I don't read a lot of marriage and troubles. I don't honestly love that trope that much, but it really works for me in here. And amnesia, that's not like something that I seek out either. So I never really get to feature it that much, but I absolutely love it. So this one follows Bennett and Olivia. So where we start out in this book, Bennett and Olivia are currently in the process of getting a divorce. However, Olivia receives a call from her friend who is a doctor and is like, hey, you need to get down here right now. Bennett has been in an accident. And when she arrives and Bennett wakes up, they all look at Bennett and realize like he does not remember the past 2 years of his life. So in his head, as he's waking up in the hospital, he and Olivia are still happy in love. He can't imagine his life without her, that anything would ever come between them. In his head, they are truly still like the golden couple and happy and in love. Where in present day, where Olivia and the rest of the world is living, they are currently in the process of getting a divorce because he cheated on her. There are other issues that come into play, so there is cheating in this romance, so just be aware of that. And it's not between like the characters to be together. Like Bennett does cheat on Olivia, and it causes a lot of angst and tension, and Olivia ends up becoming Bennett's caretaker after he leaves the hospital, and he's really trying to fight to win her back, and she is just still really hurt from his actions over the past couple of years that now he can't even remember. It's their romance. It is so good. I truly think that this is one that I recommend to people a lot of times when they don't want as much of like a taboo, quick, short, spicy. I mean, it still delivers on all of that. However, this one isn't really as like taboo or forbidden between them, and it's much more angsty too. Like it does take these two a long time to overcome their problems. So if that's what you're looking for, I love this one. And yeah, I talk about QB a lot, but obviously I don't feel like I get to talk about this book a lot. Next up, let's put in a fun one here, because here's the thing. I love the Plant of Barbarian series by Ruby Dixon. And again, I don't really read alien romance or monster romance or anything that would kind of like give me enough recs to do a whole video with this book included in it. And it's not like a dark romance. It's not a taboo romance. It's not an age gap romance. It's literally just a woman and an alien. So I don't get to talk about it a lot, but I've actually read, I think I've read up through book 6 maybe. Also, I have a post on it in here because I'm filming this the day before I'm going to leave for Book Bonanza, and I'm taking this to have Ruby Dixon hopefully sign. Hopefully I can get a wristband and get her signing it. But so this one, oh, what is her name? Georgie. How could I forget? It's Georgie and Vectel's romance. So this one, so Georgie and a bunch of human women, they wake up on a ship and they have been kidnapped by these aliens, like these bad aliens, and they are being taken by these bad aliens to their planet. They have no idea what's going to go on, and they really have no choice but just to kind of like be on the ship and wait. However, then there are some technical issues with their ship that they start encountering, and the aliens drop all of the human women out of their plane, and they're like, we'll come back for them. They drop them on this random planet, and they're like, they'll go down there, get a new ship, come back and get them. However, when the human women land, they end up on this like cold ice winter planet that they dub Not Hoth. And they're like, we need to do something for our survival. Like, we can't just stay here and wait for these guys to come back. They're horrible. There are horrible things that have happened to them on this plane. And they're like, we need to get away. So some of them start walking, and they end up coming across some blue aliens on this planet, and immediately Vectel is like, Georgie is my mate. And basically the blue aliens on this planet, they're all dying and they are not able to reproduce very easily. So then like these human women being there, they're all like, oh, this is like the chance for us to like repopulate our tribe. And a bunch of them start resonating, which is what they call it, like their like hearts align or something with these human women, and they start like getting married and having babies. I mean, not even getting married. It's just like them having babies. It's just such a fun series, y'all. I don't know what else to say about it. It is so fun. It's such, for me personally, when I read a lot of like, where I read pretty much all contemporary romance, it's such a nice like palette cleanser in between all of the other books that I read that are more, sorry, there was a bug on my screen. I had to make sure that it was on the outside, not on the inside. That is on the outside, right? It's just really good for me to switch up when I'm reading, and these are just so fun, truly so enjoyable. Next up is a hockey romance that I read last year, I think. And again, I don't feel like I've gotten to talk about it very much. I don't know why, but that is Home Game by Odette Stone. So this one, is it Ryan? And what is it Zoe? So Ryan, he is a hockey player. This is the second book in the Vancouver Wolves series. You could jump into this though without reading Puck Me Secretly, although I also love that one. So Ryan is a hockey player, and he recently gets transferred to the Vancouver Wolves from his old team. However, he has some beef with his new teammates because of some incidents that happened like in previous hockey games that they just are not really like happy that he's there. So he does kind of feel like a little bit of a loner. And one day he's at a coffee shop doing his taxes, although he's really struggling with his computer and like getting them all figured out. And Zoe happens to see this and she offers to help him, and she ends up helping him. And he's like, hey, can I give you a ride home? Like, can I do something? And she accepts, and he ends up driving her to a homeless shelter, and he realizes that she is homeless. but the shelter is already closed by the time that they get there because of like the time that it took her. And he offers her like, hey, you can come and stay at my place. And she's like, no, thank you. Like, I don't want like any handouts from you. And also like, I don't know you. That's sketchy. Like, you're an athlete. Like, I'm not messing around with you. You're like this big guy, you know, whatever. I'm not staying with you. However, then Zoe is attacked that night. And when she is taken into the hospital, they find Ryan's contact information like in her pocket. He had given her his card, and he gets contacted by the hospital, and he ends up going and picking Zoe up, and he does end up taking her in and letting her stay at his apartment and kind of trying to help get her back on her feet. So there is a little bit of caretaking in here, which I really enjoy. Zoe is a very strong, savvy, smart heroine, and I love her, and she definitely is resistant to help, but also she is aware that she's in a position where she does need to be open to accepting it, and that if Ryan's going to be nice enough to do it, then great. But she's like, I'm not sleeping with you, and they develop this really good friendship, but then of course they end up falling in love, and it's their book. And I just love this one. It was so good. It's heartwarming, it's emotional, it's just so good, on top of it being like a hockey romance. Next up, let's talk about another sports romance that I feel like I don't get to talk about a lot. It was on my top 10 of 2021, but again, it doesn't really fit into a lot of like trope rec videos that I do, and that is Longshot by Kenny Ryan. So this is the first book in the Hoop series, and so far my favorite. I still love Blockshot, that's book 2, but this one still is just my favorite. So this one follows August and Iris. So August is an NBA player, and he has this big rivalry with this one dude, and it's just kind of like a known thing that he and this guy are enemies. They've like grown up playing against each other all the time, and they've just never really gotten along. And one night when August is out at a bar watching a game, he ends up meeting this woman sitting next to him. They hit it off, they're watching the game, and that turns out to be Iris, and he has a really great night with her. And at the end of the night, he invites her back to his hotel room. However, Iris politely declines, and she's like, you know, I have a boyfriend, sorry. And August is like, damn, like kind of like, oh, she's getting away from me, but he has no choice but to let her go, and he does. And then he actually ends up crossing paths with Iris at like his game the following night or a couple nights later, because she is actually dating his rival in the NBA. But also, this book is so much deeper than that, and I feel like I should just like give you the warning about that, because I didn't know going into this. I remember I took this book on vacation with me to read because I was like, a fun basketball NBA romance. I can't wait to read like a sports romance by the pool. This is a very heavy book. It deals a lot with domestic violence. Iris is in an abusive relationship with her boyfriend, and he does horrible things to her that are on page. So definitely make sure that you check your triggers before going into it. It's a very heavy book, and August just truly becomes just a friend to Iris and just always lets her know that he's there for her. There is some cheating in this, but I mean, truly, like, it's not like you're rooting for the other dude, okay? Personally, again, I wasn't bothered by the cheating, and it's kind of like friends to lovers then. Also like kind of love triangle, but not really, because you like literally hate the one guy, but you kind of see how like Iris has a hard time breaking free of that relationship. And I absolutely love this book, and I don't feel like I get to talk about it a lot. I feel like mostly I get to mention it when I like talk about like my favorite book boyfriends, because August is truly like top tier boyfriend material. However, I don't feel like I read a lot that I get to like add it into rec videos for, but I absolutely love it. And definitely, like I said, it's heavy, but if you're prepared for it, so good. Next up, let's do another one that was on my top 10 of 2021 list that again, I don't get to talk about a lot, and that is Her Soul to Take by Harley LaRue. So this one is a demon romance. Well, he's a demon, she's a human. So this one, what is her name? Ray. I always forget her name. It's Leon and Ray. So Ray moves back. So she used to live in this house, like this kind of like creepy house in the middle of the woods in this one town when she was growing up. And then she grew up and her parents like sold it and they moved away from it. But then when she is getting ready to go to college, or she's in college, and I think she transfers to this new university, and she buys her parents' house back again, even though her parents are very resistant of her moving back into that house. But she's like, no, you know, I want to live here. I have good memories of here, and I want to go to school at this university there. So she ends up moving back in. And then when she gets there, weird things just start kind of happening. There's some murders taking place around campus that are kind of like suspect. And she is a YouTuber, and she is a ghost hunting YouTuber. However, she doesn't want like fake things or like clickbait. She wants to catch like a real ghost, a real demon. So she ends up finding this one book, and she tries to summon a demon, or like she tries to do something with it. I don't think she means to summon a demon, but then she does end up summoning Leon, and he is a literal demon. demon. And there's so much more to it with like, it's a lot to deal with like cults and like this town and the people and history of the people and all this stuff, but I don't really want to get into spoilery territory because again, I always have, with books like this, I kind of have a hard time remembering like what you know going into it just from like reading the synopsis and kind of like hearing it being talked about and what is like a surprise. So I'm gonna leave it there. I love this. Dark, dirty, fun, cults, sacrifices, demons, hot demons. It's literally so good. Absolutely love this book so much. And the third book is actually coming out, I think, next month. And I still need to read book 2. So I'm definitely going to be getting to those 2 soon because I absolutely loved this one. And again, and you know what? You can save this for October, but why not read spooky books now? They're fun any time of the year. Okay, last physical one that I have on hand here is, again, another book by my favorite author. So I talk about this author a lot. However, I can't remember a single video that I have talked about this book in, which is a crime, honestly. And it's a crime that this book is underrated by this author because it's so good. And that is Misconduct by Penelope Douglas. So this one follows Easton and Tyler. So it takes place in New Orleans. And when you first meet these characters, they're at like a Mardi Gras ball or like gala type party. And Easton is a former professional tennis player, I think, turned teacher now. And she has still some involvement though in like higher society in New Orleans and like kind of mingling with people or whatever at these parties. And she ends up meeting this one gentleman at this party one night. They have a little bit of a time, they hit it off, they dance, they talk, whatever. And they're definitely attracted to each other, but they kind of leave it at that. And then when he leaves, she realizes that that this is Tyler and that he owns like a construction business, like one of the biggest ones. And he's like going to be running for Senate, I think. Like he's a politician or like trying to get into politics. And she immediately is like, nope, I'm not stepping back into that world. No, thank you. She has some like history with different like things with her family. And she ends up being the teacher for his son. And they meet again at a student-teacher conference, or not student-teacher, parent-teacher conference. See, I always got student-teacher on the brain, but in this term, it's parent-teacher conference. And yeah, so anyways, I'm gonna leave that one at that. I love this one. There's also some OCD rep in here with Easton that I remember really appreciating. It's been years since I've read this book, but I remember when I read it, really appreciating it and like how it was done. So anyways, I really like this one, a really underrated one from Penelope Douglas. And if you haven't picked it up already, then you got to do it. Okay, let's see. What other ones did I have on my list here that I just don't have physically that I wanted to talk about? Wrong by Janet Aston. Okay, here's the thing though, I didn't look up what these people's names are. I forgot to do that. And I'm not going to do that right now, but wrong. So they're going to be hero and heroine from here on out. So our heroine in this one, she is a college student and I think she's dating her boyfriend and she's getting ready. She like wants to go, does she want to go get birth control maybe? She's on campus and she wants to go to like the campus doctor. And when she ends up going there, her doctor ends up being the hot guy from the coffee shop that she always flirts with. So she works at an on-campus or like off-campus coffee shop close by. And she always flirts with this one customer that comes in. He kind of flirts with her a little bit, whatever. But then when she ends up going in for her appointment, he turns out to be the doctor. And he's actually a very successful doctor at a hospital. However, he like volunteers at the campus clinic like a couple days a month. And this just happened to be the one day that he happened to be in there. And she is immediately just like embarrassed because obviously even though she has this boyfriend or this guy that she's been dating and interested in, like he's just this hot, older, like successful kind of man that she just has a fun time flirting with. And she's like mortified that he's going to be her doctor and finding out about her plans. And he is definitely attracted to her as well. But again, he's kind of like, is she too young for me? Whatever. He's kind of having all of those thoughts. And when the date turns sour that she goes on, he ends up swooping in and rescuing her. And it ends up being their romance. I love this one, but I don't talk about it a lot because I don't typically talk about like rom-com-y type of books a lot on here because I just don't read a lot. I don't normally like them, but for some reason I loved this one. I even tried to read book 2 in the series and I just wasn't feeling it. So this one was just that like unicorn rom-com for me where I just like thoroughly enjoyed myself. I enjoyed some of the twists in it. There is a twist in it that normally I don't like seek out, but then when it pops in, I'm like, I do really like that. But again, I don't want to give that away. You can read it and find out for yourself. From what I remember reading this book, I just remember it being like such a fun time. Next up, okay, I feel like I've talked about this. I think I talked about this one in my No Thought No Plot Just Hot video like last summer, but since then I don't really know that I've talked about it, and that's The Architect by Nikki Sloan. So I've talked about other books in this series before, but even that I feel like I don't get to talk about a lot. But this is book 3 and I love it. So I think, is it Lillian, Clay, and Travis? I think are their names. So Lillian and Clay, I think, are the neighbors. So Lillian lives in this neighborhood and Clay lives next door, and he's always traveling. He's always off doing whatever. And when they end up finding, I think, a stray cat, they kind of end up like adopting it together, but it stays at Clay's house because he's like, I can't really take care of a cat because I am always gone and traveling. But Lillian, I think maybe she lives with her parents, even though she's in her early 20s. And I think her parents like are allergic to cats, so she can't have one over there. So Clay agrees to keep it over at his house if she'll come over and take care of it while he's gone. And she agrees, and they just start like chatting. Clay's not like super talkative. He's really aloof. He's a successful businessman, and he just like doesn't really chat a lot. But then when she starts getting to know him, she starts getting to know that maybe he has like certain tastes. Once again, this is very heavy into BDSM, and she is interested, and he agrees to kind of show her the ropes a little bit, and for her to be his sub and he'll be her dom. And then though, how do you do that though when you're always traveling and always on the road? Well, then Clay brings in Travis to help take care of things while he's gone under his direction, but help take care of things while he's gone when he can't be there in person, but he can give orders over, like Skype. Here's the thing with this one. It's just a fun, hot, spicy time. Do I think that these 3 are soulmates? No way, shape, or form. Do I think that they all stay together after the epilogue? No way. However, I love this book just for the like fun and just like truly the spice delivers. It's just so different, especially with like it working between Lillian and Travis trying to have a relationship, but like Clay's always trying to give Travis orders, and then like they're not even supposed to talk with each other because Travis is just supposed to be like an extension of Clay. And then how are Clay and Travis going to like share Lillian? It's a great time. Super hot. You know what? I had more on this list, but honestly, actually, I'm gonna cut it there because here's the thing. I think I've already talked about 9 books, and that's a lot for one video. So I could definitely do a part 2 of this because I do have more, and there were more that I didn't even put down that I definitely could have. So anyways, I'm just gonna cut it there though. That's gonna be it for today's video, but thank you guys for watching. So I think next Tuesday, I'm going to have all of my 4 and 5-star reads so far of this year. Now that we're like nearing the end of June, I like to do it like 6 months in and 6 months to the end of the year. So that's what I think is going to be up on Tuesday. But anyways, that is it for today's video. Make sure that you go and watch Cheyenne's video. Like I said, I will have it linked down below. And yeah, I'll see you when I see ya.